Hello and welcome to Poets Know It, coming to you live from Cam Erie on West 12th Street in Erie, PA. I am Thasia Ann and welcome you to our program. It's September already. Can you believe that? There are many poetry opportunities coming up here in Erie, so I'm going to run down just a couple of them for you. You can mark them on your calendars and then maybe attend. September 12th, at KD's Place on State Street is a book signing for my new volume of Survivor to Thriver. September 17th at the Albion Fair, seniors are free that day from 2 to 3 and 7 to 8 will be poetry readings in the Arts and Crafts Barn. On October 3rd at KD's Place is 100,000 Poets for Change. And that's where we can all get together and have our poems that talk about how to make a positive change for this country. That's from 12 to 2. On October 10th at Werner Books is Read Poetry to a Child Day. And parents, I really hope you'll bring your kids out. It's such a fun event. We have several different poems read to you by several different poets, and that goes from 12 to 2. So I am going to read a new poem tonight, and this is in memory of our wonderful Dolly Parton. There are two famous women that were kind of my spirit guides as I started writing, Maya Angelou and Dolly Parton. She wasn't a poet unless you look at her lyrics, and that's exactly what her lyrics were. So Dolly showed me how to describe hard things, and Maya taught me how to tell the secrets. This one's for Dolly. I have always loved you. As a young teen girl, I was mesmerized by your words. Once I discovered that I too could write, my dream was to be able to create as poignant and importantly as you did. I too grew up as a have-not, and my grandmother sewed me plain dresses. I could imagine my hand gliding across my very own coat of many colors. I wanted to be able to make folks understand real life with my own words. During the failing of my first marriage, "Here you come again" hit hard, and that was when my words began to take on bigger meaning, when I knew I too could help others with paper and pen, and it became so clear during that year, every single soul who ever heard Jolene knew what true heartbreak and desperation sounded like. Doing my very best to follow your footsteps, I wrote my first collection, Love and Licorice Whips, to help others understand women need a hand up, not a handout. Dolly, you were like an older sister, and you guided me to aspire, to go higher with what I had. You were only 9 years older, but so much bolder than I, and a guiding light. Thank you, and I will always love you. I'm going to do one more poem, and then I'm going to call up our first poet from the audience. This morning I inhale sunlight, and I let it bump around in my lungs. When it's ready, I exhale hope, hoping it reaches those who need a little. My coffee smiles, and I nod. I accept its invitation and sip. All right. First up to the mic tonight, Chuck Joy.
Thank you, Thasia. It's a privilege to be here, and I think it's an opportunity for me to read 4 poems. They're all new. They're all unpublished, although some have been submitted for publication. And some of them have epigraphs, like the very first one, which is also highly influenced by music And the epigraph for this poem is after Nat Adderley Jr., age 11. The poem is called I'm on My Way. Once I was small, could hardly walk at all. Put me in a chair, feed me with a spoon, blankie in my bed, teddies in my room. But now I'm big, yeah, I'm on my way, This is how I write. This is how it sounds. I've got a lot to say. Everybody up. Clap, clap. Jump, jump, jump. Thank you. This next poem also has a epigraph, and it's called After Blues and Jazz Fest, which was held at Frontier Park recently. And if you know anything about what happened, there was a real theme of weather. So here we have a poem that was actually kind of sparked during that event. This poem, the epigraph is After Blues and Jazz Fest, and the poem is called Double Vision. Head tilt. Be a thoughtful dog. Then Manhattan, northern Manhattan, Inwood, a park. Outcrops of bedrock at the surface, gray and black. A hillside park, a complicated steep decline, green lawn between green stands of trees. Me and my girlfriend, I'm Pablo, she's Rita, our backs against a low wall. Us two facing a fountain at the bottom of the hill. We're sharing a barely legal bottle, fruit wine, and smiling. Now return to Western Pennsylvania. Still a park. It's steep decline, crossed with stairs and slides. A different version of her and me. I'm Carl. She's Betsy. And instead of a fountain, it's raining. Thank you. Now that was the happier part of the set. Here's a poem without an epigraph, if that tells us anything. It's called Poetry Helps. Doesn't take much. A glance at Facebook, overhearing a newscast, and I'm spinning in ruts. Ruts of dismay, anger, grief, mental tires churning up grit, raising plumes of gray hopelessness, toxic as anything. Lately, every day. Every day. Poetry helps. Fashioning puckered mats, surfaces of beauty and truth slid under my driving wheels, permitting emotional escape until the next morass. Poetry helps. And surely it does. Might not be antisocial enough, but it does help. So finally, I'm going to conclude with this interesting item. It doesn't have an epigraph, but it has a little intro, which is to explain Woodlawn is a neighborhood of New York City in the North Bronx. The title of the poem is That Woman in Woodlawn. I had been to Wakefield, but I had never been to Woodlawn. A long walk took me there. I noticed the Irish theme, and soon I found myself in a drinking establishment. It was almost lunch, and Guinness is better than food. The pub was far from empty. I looked around to find a chair. One lovely patron sat alone, all milky skin and chocolate hair. Something sad behind her eyes, but I didn't care. Anyone sitting here? I asked her. You are, she answered, her voice a Celtic song. My first visit to Woodlawn, I offered, taking the seat. I could tell, she replied. The locals know better. I finished my Guinness in silence. When people tell you who they are, believe them. Thank you. That was that woman in Woodlawn. Thank you very much, Deja.
And since I already dabbled in the Dolly poem about childhood and family, I decided to follow it up with snapshots. The only way I can look back and allow focus on truths from my childhood, face the facts, facets of moments, failure of a father, photo of my mother broken and begging herself to be whole. My childhood compacted into adult household chores, holding the magnifying glass to witness my wounds. I must remove the splinters and pull the puckered flesh free of pain and allow the healing, because everyone did their best. Next up, I'm going to call Jane.
Thank you, Thasia, and I have something that'll follow up with that.
I love when that happens.
Doesn't tell the same story, but
No.
it's called 8 by 10. The very moment the button is pushed, whatever lies before cannot escape. It is impossible to avoid the snare. Focused or not, black and white or color, with a push of a button, time is sucked in, holding its breath hostage until set free when exhaled as a portrait of truth. Thank you. And this, you'll know. That day, the day the plane stopped flying, we gazed in anguish and watched the nightmare unfold. Falling to our knees, we cried out, "Oh God." The skies went silent, except for the sound of angels' wings, quietly going about their task at hand, guiding departing souls to heaven. The day the plane stopped flying, angels flew instead. Thank you. And this self-portrait. Today, he was thinking about the last time he could. He thought it was 2 days ago. That's when he left, because he didn't like his self anymore. He needed to get away from his self to think. However, soon after he left, he saw his self coming and realized his self had caught up with him. He became very angry and annoyed with his self. It was then he heard a voice from within. If you are unhappy with yourself, stand before a mirror with eyes wide open. If you want yourself to change, change what you see, or nothing will. Thank you. This came about from a camping trip where we were watching hummingbirds in the wild. Dear hummingbird, what gentleness I see hovering to and fro, a yo-yo from petal to petal, surfing the air with ease, humming along your journey wherever that may lead. I wish you could stay. That's it.
This poem comes from a recent workshop I was involved in. The prompt was, I will remember. I will always remember that my past does not define me. My purpose and precision, like a blacksmith fire, will refine me. I will always remember I am worthy, that my need is to guide and expand and swell my gifts of earned and learned shared experience to the point that others will feel finished and fine. All right, Gary, you're next.
Thanks, guys. I have a couple readings from what might be the memoir of an octogenarian. The first, called Learning to Draw. When I was 4 years old, I didn't like the way the airplanes with the teddy bear pilots on the wall in my room were all flying in a straight line and headed in the same direction. So I picked the blue crayon from the box and drew wind all over the wall to make them go different ways. But they didn't move. When my dad came home from work, I heard my mother tell him to settle down. After that, they painted my room all green and gave me 3 coloring books. And then there's Janie Nelligan's Skin. After the milkman quit leaving bottles in the box on the back porch, my mother bought milk at the big store when she went grocery shopping every Thursday night after my dad got home from work. Once in a while, we would run out of milk between Thursdays. That's when Mom would send me to the corner store to get milk, even though she hated to pay more than at the big store. Janie Nelligan worked at the corner store. I noticed Janie Nelligan's skin before I noticed a lot of other wonderful things about Janie Nelligan. It was a little darker than most girls' skin, and smooth and soft. But I wasn't sure it was soft, but I wanted to find out real bad. It took me a while to figure out when the store was the busiest. That's when I would go for milk, when I could stand in line and stare at Janie's neck without her noticing. While she was busy counting change and putting groceries into bags, I could really concentrate on the way her skin sloped onto her shoulders and slid under her shirt. Once, when she glanced up to see how many people were in line, she saw me looking at the little slice of skin on her belly that showed when she stretched to hand a bag over the counter. After that, I had to be a lot more careful because I blush easy and it's embarrassing. Well, last Tuesday was the best night of the whole week. We ran out of milk and I got to find out if Janie was wearing the shirt with the collar that lets me see the little dot on her shoulder by her left arm. She was wearing it. And then the best thing happened. When I got home with the milk, my mother said that she forgot to tell me we needed bread.
The Thoughts of Young Boys. I thought I didn't have it with me, Jane, but I then found I have my bird poem. I pray to the birds. I pray to the cardinals, the most reverent of the birds, and their presence indicates lost loved ones with no words. They come in at times of grief. They are witness and bring relief. I pray to the cardinals. They show me grace, and they are able to erase the tracks of my tears. And yes, that last line is out of a song. All right, is there anybody else out there who still has the need to read and like to come back up? Oh, I see Chuck waving his hand. Okay, come on, Chuck. Here he comes.
You don't have to ask me twice, Deja. That's my favorite thing. Why that is, we should have a workshop on that. But I'm thrilled to be here. I do have two more, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to share them. They're also new, and they're not published, although I think at least one of them is submitted for publication consideration. And I put them in order of increasing positivity. The first one is called Frustration. As mood is to climate and emotions to weather, so frustration is a sudden storm, sometimes entirely predictable, sometimes predicted for a week. A rush of black war clouds, trailing gray screens of rain, the lake we're sailing kicking up, frothy lines of angry waves, bare teeth, the strongest overtopping the gunwale, our open boat at risk to be upside. You're in the back, managing the tiller. I'm up front, tying down a line. Wind roaring, we're shouting back and forth. Our groaning hull slapping every tall wave, hard. Everywhere, sheets of cold spray. Some of us can't get enough. Frustration. Now, moving in the direction of positivity, this poem is also featuring a juvenile perspective. The title of the poem is 8th Grade. She knows where to find me. I'm here all 3 days. Everybody knows that, especially Bonnie. Sure, it's crowded, but this festival is not that big. If she really cares, Bonnie will find me, even if I had hid, and I have not. I'm standing outside in the open, just inside the gate, my back to a tent. I'm sipping a lemonade, very slowly. Adults, families, little kids, the live band playing, she's the one, and there she is, Bonnie, 8th grade. Thanks. I think I've done that.
Okay. There, he's released enough poetry into the air to last a few days. Jane, did you have anything else you want to do tonight? Gary, do you have any more? Sure, come on back up.
A matter of sharing. When Reuben was a baby, nobody said he was cute. Nobody said, "What a cute little boy you have." Reuben's face was crooked, and his leg was twisted. So he limped a little as he grew, and he stuttered. But in kindergarten, Reuben learned two things. Reuben learned to share, and he learned to sing. In 3rd grade, he shared his bus seat and his songs with anyone who would sit with him. In 11th grade, he shared his angelic voice and his bed with Nora. When they graduated, Nora pregnant and Reuben with the State Opera Company, they shared their love and their life together. At dinner on the day of Arafah, they shared the news of their son's birth with Reuben's family. When Reuben was 18, his loving, sharing spirit grew wings and flew away. His twisted leg and crooked face lay stewing in the putrid mix of stagnant ditch water and warm blood at the edge of his road home, because his family and the Israelis had not learned to share the olive trees planted long ago on the hillside behind his house.
Sorry about that. I have one more to read before we wind down tonight. Since I had shared some sad ones, I decided to bring us all back up with an old fan favorite, Team Dodgeball. I was the frail little scrawny girl they always picked last and always went after first. And then in 6th grade, Pat Wagner, the kid who was already 6 foot and, sorry about that, the kid who was already like 6 foot and the hero was up, ball in hand. He looked right at me. I knew this was it. I could see the blood in his eyes, and the ball hit me in the stomach so hard that it took me off my feet, wham, on my butt. I hit the floor and I couldn't breathe, and I gasped air in, and through the fog I could hear cheering, and I felt shame. But when I looked up, it was my team cheering, and I looked down and realized that the ball was still wrapped in my arms, and I could taste red rubber, and Pat Wagner, mouth agape, was out. So this is Poets Know It, and we're here the first Wednesday of every month at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. And the next one will be October 7th. Come on down to CAM, join us. You can sit in the audience and listen. You can bring a poem of your own. You can even bring other people's poetry and read those also. So I would love for you to follow me on Facebook under Thasia Ann Lunger. And this is Poets Know It, and we are saying good night, and we are out.